YouTube, what's good with it, y'all? How everybody doing? I hope everybody feeling lovely, believing in God, keeping faith, and staying strong and consistent. With all that being said, you know how I do it. I'm gonna go ahead and jump straight off into it here. First off, the diving board. Hello, y'all. When I was younger, there was nothing more real to me than wrestling. Like as a kid, I believe wrestling was so real from elementary all the way up. We used to have real hardcore matches at school. Man, we was getting hurt because as kids, like we really thought wrestling was real. It even sometimes we would have Iron Man matches. You know, we had bats and barbed wire. Like we was really hurting each other. And when mankind and the Undertaker, don't even get me started with that. But where I'm trying to go with this is, I believe wrestling was so real to the point that I would get into it with my grandmama, my granddaddy, and try to fight anybody who begged to differ and told me that what I put my heart and faith in, belief in so much was not real. You know, like I really believed it was real. So a lot of things went on. You couldn't tell me nothing about that. I'll never forget this one day. My grandmother, she took me to the casino and took me to a live event of wrestling. Shawn Michaels was there. I think Stone Cold. Of course, Jerry Lawler was there. My whole life changed, y'all. My whole life changed to see these actors acting so well, faking so well, and that point changed my life. From then on, I was fooled and hurt so bad I couldn't watch wrestling no more. That transitioned my life, you know, from that was the perfect example of when I first believed something was so real and the field dropped. I seen it in action. And now they come out with all the behind the scenes stuff. So there was another time that feeling came up on me, and it was when I was a teenager and I had a spiritual awakening. I remember at one point in my life, I was questioning everything from the 9/11 Twin Towers. My mind would not let me believe anything no more. And so there began my spiritual journey of going back and just researching history and learning about things. And so, which is why now nothing new up under the sun. I found out my whole life and belief in the world, the TV, the media, it was all a game. It was all a lie and fabricated, you know. And I don't know about y'all, but one of the worst and most powerfulest hurtful feelings in the world is when you find out everything you was taught and believed is it's not that. Your whole life, you feel like your whole life is a lie. Some people some people committed suicide back in them days. I found a lot of people committing suicide. When you realize all this Christmas stuff, everything we've been fed, and it tears your heart apart to know everything you believed in is fake. So to people who ain't had a spiritual awakening yet, when you realize like all of this stuff we believe that was taught to us in school and all that, this stuff is lies, and it will hurt you and it'll break you down. So when you put your trust and heart into everything, like our jobs, and we all getting laid off 20, 30 years into that, the world lets you down. You put your trust in your heart and your car's been getting you to point A, point B all these years. Sooner or later it goes away. The car will let you down. So you put your trust and love in a certain person into your life, and then sooner or later that person not that after a couple of years. So the thing is, that's when I realized I had to go back and I had to go spiritual. The wrestling was the one thing that tormented me as a child, but to find out my life, what I was taught, my beliefs, most of my culture, crazy. You know, it tore me apart. I had to go spiritual. Where I'm trying to go with this is Grandma told me a story a while ago about how the world is, and she compared it to like frog legs. You know, you get a frog, you put them in a pot full of water, and you gradually increase the heat, and then before you know it, the heat is already up and he cooked. So the world, they do things in itty bitty little increments, like what we're living in right now, the little war stuff, all that. They turning up the heat, and that's why you hear a lot of people telling you to get prepared. Some people, there are some good frogs, like we know when the heat already being spiced up, and we telling you the world gonna let you down, and it's they turning up the heat, and then sooner or later it's gonna be too late. Stuff gonna hit the fan, which is why a lot of people moving out of here. But the purpose of my story, this message, is to let you know if you really tied to this world, and whatever moves you is external. Like the world is gonna let you down, my man. Don't put all your trust into things that man has to offer. Keep your trust in God, because the same way it can be given to you, man will sweep it away, pull the rug right up under you. So it's cool to be, appreciative and thankful and work hard towards it, but don't let that be your only means, because life is trickery. Life is trickery. Make that purpose and mode internal. Internal. Something that no man can take away from you. And then that joy will come. That's like I said, what good is it be rich? Them folks got money and then they don't even know a whole lot of other rich people, so they got all that money and then they lonely. Then, of course, us at the bottom, we can be happy with no money. So it goes both ways. Joy is internal. Once we get joy and forget about all this out here, like I always say, we'll be good. I love y'all. I just wanted to drop that message on you. Don't nothing hurt worse when you find out what you really like and love is like it's not real. So make sure whatever you moving toward, make sure it's real. I'll be back with another one. Love y'all. One.